The grand ballroom of the Hillcrest Hotel sparkled with crystal chandeliers, laughter, and soft violin music. It was the wedding of Ryan Lockwood, the son of one of America's most powerful CEOs, Charles Lockwood. The city's elite had gathered, politicians, celebrities, and business tycoons, all dressed in designer outfits and dripping with luxury. But in one quiet corner sat Emily Lockwood, the CEO's only daughter. She was 22, beautiful, and confined to a wheelchair. 3 years earlier, a car accident had taken her ability to walk, and since then, her presence at family events had become more symbolic than real. People offered polite smiles, but avoided her gaze, pretending not to notice the sadness behind her calm expression. Emily's mother fussed over the guests. Her brother danced with his bride, and no one seemed to care that she sat alone. She adjusted her dress and glanced at the glittering crowd, trying to blend in with their happiness. The music swelled as the couple began their first dance, and everyone gathered around the dance floor, clapping and cheering. Emily clapped too, forcing a smile, but inside she felt invisible, like a shadow in her own family's celebration. As the music played and laughter filled the hall, Emily sat quietly watching the guests enjoy themselves. Her gaze drifted across the room until a man approached her table, carrying 2 glasses of lemonade. He wasn't dressed like the others. His suit was simple, his expression kind. "Mind if I sit here?" he asked gently. She hesitated, then nodded. "I'm Daniel," he said with an easy smile. "My son's the little ring-bearer who nearly tripped on the aisle." Emily laughed softly, surprised at how natural it felt. "I'm Emily," she replied, her voice almost shy. "I know," he said, "the one with the most beautiful smile in the room." She blushed for the first time in years. Daniel talked about his 6-year-old boy, Liam, and how being a single dad kept him grounded. Emily shared how she used to love painting before her accident. Unlike others, Daniel didn't look at her wheelchair. He looked into her eyes. The conversation flowed effortlessly, and for the first time that evening, Emily forgot the crowd and her loneliness. Across the ballroom, people began to whisper, surprised that someone was sitting with her, laughing with her. But Emily didn't care. For once, she felt seen, truly seen. As the night went on, Ryan stood at the front of the ballroom, raising his glass for a toast. "To family," he declared proudly, his voice echoing through the hall. Guests clapped, cameras flashed, and laughter filled the air, but Emily wasn't mentioned. Daniel, sitting beside her, noticed the flicker of pain in her eyes. Without thinking twice, he rose from his seat. "Excuse me," he said firmly, his voice cutting through the chatter. The room fell silent. "You're toasting to family," he continued, "but you forgot someone who deserves that word more than anyone." All eyes turned toward Emily. Daniel's tone softened. "This young woman has shown more strength and grace than most of us ever could. You see a wheelchair. I see courage, dignity, and heart." The crowd shifted uncomfortably, the weight of his words sinking in. Ryan lowered his glass, embarrassed, while Charles Lockwood stared at his daughter as if truly seeing her for the first time. "He's right," the CEO said quietly. "Emily, forgive me." The room erupted in uneasy applause. Emily's hands trembled, tears slipping down her cheeks. Then little Liam ran up to her, wrapping his tiny arms around her legs, and for the first time, after that unforgettable night, Emily's life began to change. The next morning, newspapers carried photos of Daniel's speech and the CEO's emotional apology. The story spread quickly. People admired the man who had spoken up and the young woman who had endured so much with quiet grace. Charles Lockwood announced a new foundation in Emily's name to support people with disabilities, calling it the Emily Hope Initiative. For the first time, she felt proud to have her name associated with something meaningful. Daniel and Emily stayed in touch, meeting for coffee and long walks by the lake, where he pushed her wheelchair while they talked about life, dreams, and Liam's school adventures. Over time, friendship turned into something deeper, a bond that felt natural and strong. Liam adored her, often bringing her drawings that showed all 3 of them together. Months later, Emily stood on the stage at a charity gala, speaking confidently about resilience and hope. The audience gave her a standing ovation. In the crowd, Daniel smiled proudly, holding Liam in his arms. As their eyes met, Emily realized that for the first time in years, she wasn't invisible anymore. She was loved, respected, and finally free. "Years," she smiled freely.